Hi guys, hello my friends. How are you today? Oh my goodness, like it's been such a long day. It is literally 12:30 p.m. or 8 no, excuse me, a.m. I just had finished my steps, I can't even say it, just minutes before midnight. I gotta wish Tyler happy birthday because of course he's still up, and gotta get some things done around here. And then I was like, I still have to get in this taping. So here we are at 12:30 a.m., but I'm consistent. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. So here we are. And it was mostly a good day. Like I woke up and the morning routine was great. Like I, again, like allowed myself this morning. I was like, okay, if I wake up just naturally before this certain time, I can go to the gym. If I don't, then I'm just going to run. And I was okay with it either way. Just cause it was kind of like a weird sleep week and stuff like that. So, and I knew like, there were so many things to go on. So like if I would go to the gym, it is like at least, it would have been just the Pleasanton one still, but it's an hour and 30 minutes, between driving there, parking, getting in, getting out, all that kind of stuff. So, that was going to take from the day. And I had this meeting at 12 o'clock with Tyler and his team. And then I still needed to go to Costco because he wanted filet mignons. And so had to go get the meat and everything because he wanted fresh. And, buy like some of the carrots and all the other like side dish things that he wanted, the Brussels sprouts, the potatoes and things like that. So I had everything for his cake. And then I also wanted to remember, I was telling you the lovely lady that was opening up her own bakery. I just love a story, right? Like, doesn't anybody love like when you see somebody who is like walking the walk, right? They're not just talking about it. Like for her, there was a one day I'm going to have my own bakery. And that day one is today. Like today was her soft opening. And I just love her courage to publicly share her experience from like what had started off was like, the reason I even found her was just a post on like, there's this thing called like Pleasanton Rants and Raves. And I'm sure like your cities have it. I'm sure it's not just limited to here. And it's kind of interesting because it'll have like people, ranting about certain things around the city, or mostly what drew me to it was the raves. Now on the same turn, there are a couple rants, like especially when I first started following this page, I was just like in stitches, like laughing so hard. I was like, what is this, like real? Like like there was this one pastor and his son had like, they had a TV that was delivered to their house that didn't belong to them. It wasn't addressed to them. It was to it was for their neighbor, but their teenage son had ended up like taking it in the house, and then they pretended like it didn't happen. And like there was like pictures, and it was like this whole scandal on there. And oh my God, it was so good. And then like I think he even came on and publicly was saying stuff, and they pretended not, and they were like, well, insurance will cover it, and all these like weird things had happened around it. It was like such this scandal. I loved it. And then this was the part that it just had me. So people was like by Halloween, and somebody dressed up as like a priest holding like a TV box with like a bandit mask on. Oh my, it was so good. Like, so people are so creative and so funny. I adore that. Like, but anyway, so it had started like with a post, like, I think she was like saying something about, and I'm a sympathetic person, right? So it was like something about like, I don't ever quit a job. But that's how bad it was. Something, she didn't go into the details about what happened, but just about this is the conditions I was working in. So I really am going to just go out there and try to do this on my own. And, I think she had mentioned something about being a mom with 3 girls and, wanting to, maximize her time with them, plus, fulfill living her dreams. And so like it got me, it just hooked me in, and I like became a follower. And then, oh yeah, by the way, her like I love sweets, right? I love breads, and I love like pastries. Like I just love goodies, right? And so she had like this, it was like a strawberry cake on there, and it was just literally like a work of art. It just looked so beautiful, the way the cream was and the colors. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I want this cake, but I will eat it all. Like, I need to wait till somebody's here to eat it with me. And then she later on had posted this other one, and it was, oh my gosh, it's my favorite one, the one I was telling you about. It's like it's called like Millionaire Hazelnut Heaven, 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 Heaven on Earth, unicorns dancing on my tongue. Like, it is the best thing. I swear, I can't even, it's just that good. Like, I have confessions, like, ordered 4 like mini ones, and I didn't eat them all in one day. I could have, but I, like, spaced them out and was like, okay. And I would get my little cake, and I would have my little cup of milk, and I would just like literally sit alone, like, where nobody was. Cause it's like, I just wanted to be immersed in this thing. Like, I took very slow bites and just like let it melt in my mouth. Like how I was telling you how my uncle ate, like, this is how I eat those. Like, I'm just like, just like savoring it. So she would offer these like on there, like, oh, and it was like during football season. So it was like everybody would be here, and that feeling in fall. Like, I don't know if you're all are football fans. Like I said, I grew up with my dad and my brother, and then I ended up having 3 boys and a husband. So like, I am just all around, like, football is a big thing in this house. And, I've been around it so long that, like, when I was young, my dad used to always take us to Candlestick Park. And it was just this thing that, like, I got to see this side of my dad that was, like, really happy most times. We were living in a good time to be a 49er fan in the, 80s and 90s. And we had some great, players on the team. It was fun. So, I didn't mind so much, watching or whatever. Of course, at first I was like, but I, like, really grew to love it. And I really liked having those kind of conversations with my dad, like having him educate me and be like, okay, so wait, why are they getting 2 points here? Where did this 2 points come from? And he's like, okay, and he'd get all like hyped up. Okay, this is 2-point conversion, or, this is safety, or, whatever it was he was teaching me. And he would get so hyped up, and I was trying to remember, but I remember just looking at him and feeling like so enamored at like his excitement that sometimes, like, even what he was saying, like I wouldn't stick, but just like watching him so hyped about like teaching this thing he was passionate about. Like, I just loved watching that show. And so, having this experience where it was like Monday night or a Sunday, and we'd be watching, the football game, and sometimes we'd be like, he would allow us to have like chips and salsa then or something, like something kind of fun, or on occasion, we'd go out to like a sports bar or something like that. But mostly it was like at home. He'd have a fireplace on. Like, we would just be hanging out. And it was like, it was as closest to normal life as like I had as an experience as a kid. Like normal, like what you would see on TV kind of thing. And so yeah, like football has always been a part of my life. For that reason. And so it has like this special kind of thing. So yeah, again, the Reds on. Technically today, the Niners are going to be in the Super Bowl, and it is my son's 16th birthday, and I'm so excited for him. So, today we did the whole birthday thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. So anyways, she would have these like cake boxes or whatever. And so it was like this really fun way to try like little mini versions of her big, delicious, amazing cakes. But I don't have enough people in this house that will eat a whole cake with me, and I don't want to eat a whole entire cake, and I am too like frugal to like spend a lot of money on a cake that I'm gonna throw away or give away. Like, I don't even know who else would eat this cake with me. I'd love to like be like, here, let me give you half of this, or let's quarter it out. I'll give you a quarter, and I'm not even asking you for money. I just don't want to eat that, but I would if it was the hazelnut one. Oh my gosh. So, but then I remember like once I've tried a croissant, and I was like, holy smokes, like what I eat at Costco, that is not a croissant, okay? What you get at the supermarket, that is not a croissant, okay? This thing was a croissant. It is so like buttery and flaky, and the last time I have had a croissant that even tasted remotely close to that, and still nowhere near, was like when we were staying in all those 5-star hotels that my uncle used to manage, because like they would have these amazing, restaurants in there and things like that. And my auntie always ordered like the croissant with the jam or the continental breakfast, and it would come with the coffee and the orange juice and the croissants and stuff like that. So, and the fruit. So she would often order room service, and that would just kind of be part of the thing. And those were really yummy as well. But these, oh my goodness, delicious. And then she has so many things I want to try, but I get so held up on my thing. But she had a little soft opening today for friends and family. And so I went to that, and I was able to try one of the clinicians where my son goes to PT. We end up finding out later on, after I'd been ordering there, he's writing the name, and he's like, I think I know this lady. And she was like, I guess they were like, describe her, and they're like, she's really nice. And we was like, okay, well, yeah, okay, that's just like not enough to go on. And so yeah, I just think once I figured out this, like, there was like an even deeper connection that like, I know you, I see him a couple times, like I feel like I'm family because I see them more than I see a lot of people twice a week for an hour, right? So yeah, like, you know, you hear about their kids and their, you know, their significant others and, you know, all these things when you're in there, because I'm a chatty person, right? I ask questions, or they, you know, volunteer. We talk about fantasy football and now football and whatever other things in life too beyond sports. So I think it's really neat. And then like I said, now I had this connection. I was like, well, now I'm even more invested in, you know, the success of this lady's business. And I'm not like a salesperson. So I'm not somebody out there that's like going to be like, I'll say to you, and I will say to like somebody else, like, hey, you have to try this place. Like, I love it. But I'm also not like really good at like being a salesperson for like myself or anybody else, or I like, it's just not my powerhouse. I still like, I don't know. I could learn it if I wanted. It's just not necessarily a skill I want at this time in my life. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's just not, I'm sure it's very necessary. I don't know. It's not for me. You know, I don't know. It could have been like my dad was such a great salesman, and like watching that, like, part of it I adored and part of it made me cringe, and, you know, I don't know. So I think I have this like kind of resistance to it, which is fine. And because there's millions of wonderful salespeople out there, and how I'm going to support the way I can support. And that is, you know, if I can donate, I'll donate. If I can go and purchase things, I'll purchase things. If I can do whatever, I'm going to do whatever I can. But like I say, if you're ever in Livermore, Patisserie by Simone, oh my gosh, you gotta go. Or it might be Simone's Patisserie. I don't know how it is on the store. I think it might be Simone's Patisserie. And I'm probably annihilating that because I am not French. I know you might be shocked after hearing me say that. You know, you were probably like, wow, oui, is she French? No, I'm not. And I know you weren't thinking that either. But yeah, no, and it was so cute because like, you went through this whole journey with her. She was so public about it, and it was very inspirational. Like, you know, to hear her start from that, and then having the courage to commit to this. And her littles are young, and she's, you know, working all night, creating these beautiful masterpieces. And, you know, hustling out of her little home kitchen to saying like she's hoping she's a bakery soon. And you see her looking at different places throughout the town, and then to finding one and signing a lease. And then she was like showing how she was literally on like her hands and knees and on ladders, like every inch and nook and cranny of that bakery. She hand scrubbed, degreased, whatever, you know, what was in there. She completely cleaned that all up, you know, made the place all her own. It was so beautiful to see that. Like, when I walked in today, it was like, I almost was like teary-eyed because I was walking into somebody's dream. And isn't that like what a lot of things are? I mean, like literally this phone I'm talking into, like this water cup, you know, this watch, the bezel around the watch, my scrunchie, my earring. Like at some point in time, like all these things around us, this chair, these things were something in somebody's mind. Like somebody had a thought in their mind, and they didn't just leave it there. They actually took made a plan and took some kind of action, whether it was accidental or on purpose and very thoughtful, but they took action and they didn't stop. Like, there wasn't like, oh, this lease didn't work out, or, oh, this location didn't work, and then just stop. It wasn't like, okay, well, I'm scared. We don't have enough. I don't know their financial situations, obviously not my business, but I can imagine living in the Bay Area with 3 kids and choosing to go off on your own is a really challenging thing to do. You know, like I am so in awe of that. And to think like, to have the courage to stick with it and to like hustle and, you know, continually advertise her products and, you know, get such, I mean, she has such a following now. She has a huge fan club. And what I love is because she is so vulnerable. She is so honest about her experience. I think that captivates at least me. It has captivated me more. Like, by knowing that things haven't gone perfectly, that is like so freaking relatable, right? Like, if it was sitting here and going perfect and everything is great and, you know, and she was only revealing all the best of things, I would still be happy for her. I would still support 1000%. But I think that there's just this rawness and this just human quality about seeing all the experience of, you know, the trials and errors of opening a business and thinking about, you know, like, so I just am like, I love the story, and that I now like has been, you know, somebody, her husband is somebody I've like, you know, loosely known or something. It even just, like I said, it makes it all the more special. Their kids were like super cute. I remember every time they'd come out in their little Halloween costumes during Halloween, and they'd come to the door and they'd ask questions. Like, so cute, so freaking stinking adorable. And I just love that she's created this space, and it's like a family space too, because it's like there's a section where, you know, adults can gather and, you know, you can drink your coffee and be on your laptop or just enjoy the, you know, the scenery around and her decorum, and then there's also an area for kids. Like, there's a kid where the kids can hang out and play and pretend and, you know, be little bakers themselves. And I think that that's so sweet, you know, especially as a mom. Like, I remember like there being a lack of places where I could just go take my kids and just kind of enjoy myself a little bit too. You know, it was either a McDonald's play place or, you know, there, you know, a park or things like that. There just wasn't a whole lot of just places that we could go to lunch, and it was like inviting for my whole family, especially when they were young. So I think that this is so great. I wish her all the success in the world, and I will be happily, you know, contributing to that success, every treat along the way. So I went there today, and I had asked before, her husband had asked me like what my favorite was, and I told him, and I said, well, what's your favorite? You know, he's got the inside thing. I'm like, or are you sick of it by now? You know, like, you know, sometimes when you eat so much of something, you're just like, I cannot see this again. And he's like, no, sadly, I am not like that. Like, still everything is so good. But, like, his favorite was this pistachio croissant. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Cause like, I don't know. I didn't like, I don't know. I just was like, it didn't like click to like, you know, I was so sold on this other thing. It didn't even click to me to try it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try it now then. So I went there today and I ordered 2 of those, and I ordered a malasada. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I broke my fast today. Like, I was like, I had planned. I knew today was going to be a day. I was like, actually my stomach hurts because I've eaten so like out of my, I mean, I still ate within my window, but I just like, it was just like one of those days where it was just like, I ate on so many different occasions, and I didn't like reduce the quantity or anything. Like, I went to town. Like, that croissant, oh my, I mean, it could be a meal because it was that filling, but it had the most, like, I didn't realize that there was going to be cream on the inside until he had told me, because he was like, he was saying something about, he was like, oh, that cream in a croissant, like that's something there. And we were joking, like, it should be named after you or something. And, he did not oversell this item whatsoever. Like, if you ever can try one of her pistachio croissants, please do. It was so good. There's this other thing I'm not even gonna try to pronounce, but it was sold out when I went. So I'm gonna be going back again. No worries, I'll get it. But yeah, I mean, it was like a highlight of my day. It was so good. Like, I literally ate it in my car. It was just like dripping. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, I was in heaven. So I totally thoroughly enjoyed that. 20 out of 20, 20 out of 10 recommend. And again, like I think even more, like, I think her having a phenomenal product that like I haven't experienced anywhere else is literally icing on the cake. Like, I think it's her story that has really captivated me. And like I say, even on the forums, like, so many people are in support of her. Like, she even had a GoFundMe, and like so many people supported that. And I think that that is just such a testament to like her tenacity and obviously her delectable treats. Like, so I love that people hear her story and see the things and are willing to take a chance. And then beyond that, then they do whatever they can above it, because they're like, here she is, like, she does this, I don't know. And I don't even know if that is, I might be putting this whole psychological spin, but like, I just really believe that there's something really special about her being so vulnerable about the story. Like, I think that there is something there. And I think that there is something really there about her having the courage to not only say she's going to open a bakery, but to do it and see it. And I was saying, because her husband was the one who rang me up, and, I was like, this is even more beautiful in person than the photos. Like, you could see every tile in there gleaming, and you can just see how much heart and hard work they put in there. And there's just something magical about that. So that's why I just say over and over, like, it just is like a reminder. And she she in a way motivated me even to pursue this. So it's like, if she can follow out with her dreams, then I can follow my dreams too. Like, why not? And then if I can do it, and if she can do it, then can't you too? Because you are worth living your dreams too. Like, you deserve all this excitement I feel inside. And I can imagine all the excitement she feels inside. Like, to be like, I did that. Like, this was an idea in my head one day. And then I did something. I changed something. Like, one day I said, we're not going to just live in my head anymore. We're going to try it out. Like, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, that's great too. Like, I tried at least, right? Like, so is there something, like, even if it's something little, even if it's this, like talking to your phone in your room on your son's gamer chair with a Buddha, and, like, things don't have to be perfect and done right. And maybe my audio isn't completely the best, or maybe the video isn't the best, but I can get there, right? Like, my important thing here is, do you hear what I'm saying? Like, can you understand? Like, can you relate to me and see, like, you have so much greatness within you? Like, I just want to see other people have the opportunity to just believe in themselves and take that leap of faith, and know that, and it doesn't have to be this ginormous leap. Like, take this little, like, tiptoe, like, step over, like, but, like, follow your dreams. Like, and if you don't know, because for so long, I really don't think I knew what my dreams were. Like, I was so just wrapped up in the default settings and just making everybody else happy, I thought, and all this stuff. Like, I don't even think I knew what my own dreams were. Like, these have all, like, evolved. I never in a million years thought I would ever become a dance instructor. And whether I do something with it or not, I am one. Nobody can take that from me, unless I let my, membership lapse, and, there's some technicalities, okay? But nobody can ever take away that I became a dance instructor. Nobody can take that from me, like, that I did. That is mine, like, nobody can take away. And there's part of me, and I'm going to be completely honest here. Like I say, like, I support anybody on how they get to and live out their lives, right? Like, but there is a piece of me that, like, I know how hard I've worked. I know how challenging every decision has been. I know how long it has taken me to be in a healthy enough situation with food. Like even today, like I was eating the second croissant. The second croissant, like that was like a meal. The first one I ate in the car, and I was like, whoa, that's so good. But I didn't want to save the other one because, you know, it's like it's a pastry and it's not going to taste as good the second day. It's, you know, it's going to taste much better fresh. And yes, this is what I believed wholeheartedly. So I opted to have that instead of the cake I had made for my son because I don't know why, it just sounded better for me. And so when I was eating it, because I was eating it earlier than the cake, and I had every intention, like if I still wanted cake, I was going to eat cake. But I was so stinking full, there was no way I was fitting in the dang cake and after that. And Chris was like, so you're gonna eat that and cake? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I guess you do, you know, like, no, I was just kind of wondering, you know, and I mean, you do a lot, like you look fine or whatever. And, you know, for half a second, I was like, what is this guy saying? Like right now, like, you know, I think because again, the nature of our relationship, and I am so honest here right now. Like I struggle so hard to use my left hand. It's like, it's running through my mind, the things I should say, the things I shouldn't say. And I, for some reason, when it comes to him, have very little self-control. Like those default settings are so stuck in autopilot. I have such a challenge in maneuvering it out into manual. Like, and it pisses me off. Like I get so, like as it's happening, you could just feel it. And I'm like, why am I why am I feeding into this game? Why am I, in one breath, I can say one thing. And then in the next breath, and it's primarily with him. Like in every other situation, with every other person, like even with my kids where I'm like being very vulnerable. My one son came down, he was frustrated. I'm like, I could tell you're really, you know, like I am able, and they're kind of like looking at me, and it wasn't like a fake, it wasn't forced. It was just like, it was just very calm. And then, you know, like then the other son, something else had happened and I was saying something similar. He's like, okay, so the next time that you're all upset, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this to you. And I said, yes, please remind me. And he was like, you won't get mad. I was like, no. He's like, you're not going to yell at me. I'm like, probably not. I'll work really hard at not. But if you remind me and you're using those words, I'm going to know exactly what you're saying. And I'm going to be like, he's right. And it's like, I almost wish that like I could hear myself saying those words, because I can with my kids. Like I can with the rest of the world. Like if somebody's irritating me in a car, you know, or things like that, like I could just be like, okay, we're in the shower, take a breath, you know, like just breathe, you know, you don't know what's going on with them, you know, like I can talk myself off of this dysregulated cliff. But I swear I get in the damn room with Chris and I feel like our boxing gloves are just on. And it's just, we're on one defensive attack on another, on one defensive attack. And it's just is so exhausting. And I feel like an absolute monster at the end of it. Like, I just feel so cruel. I don't want to hurt him. And like, and I get he's hurting. There's things like that. Like, but I'm like, I'm not making things any better. And I just feel like, yeah, it's a big area in which like, I just don't feel good about the way I am behaving with him. And I'm just having such a challenging time at it. It's just, I don't know. It's very frustrating. Like, so like our interactions today, like took what would have been a great day. And like, if I could erase every single interaction I had with him, it would have been a great day. Like 1,000%. Like I would have had no qualms. But like the minute we interacted together to the last minute we interacted together was just fairly torturous. And I didn't make it any better. Like there were times that I could stop or not say anything, and there were a couple times I did, but just, I could have still done better. And I'm not mad at myself. Like I'm not beating myself up about it, but I kind of need to go through this and be like, what's the plan? Like we need to like we, as in I, me, myself, and I need to figure it out and understand, like, I know that there is 24 years of pain in there. And like I say, like, I just don't know. And I know it goes both ways. Like, I'm not saying I'm any part of the way, like, just this little damsel in distress who's been this perfect wife, and I just did everything. No, I wasn't that either. So I know from his perspective, there's a lot of, anger, resentment, hurt, and pain and stuff like that. And like, I don't know. It's just is really, really, really challenging. And, the days that we don't interact together, or the interactions are limited or good, like if it's a good interaction, like I feel excited, like I feel happy, and I feel like relieved, and I feel like grateful. But it's just so fleeting. And then the worst part is I know, I don't know, but I think I know that he probably feels the same way I do. It's like, you kind of like want it to be good when you're interacting, but there's just so much gunk in between us now that, like, when we're in the same room, it's just so, it just brings up so much, and it's hard to, like, be normal. It's hard to kind of control. And if you're not having like healthy communication to like say, hey, like, I feel blank when blank because blank, in the future, I need blank. Like, we don't have or create a space to have these healthy conversations. And so it's just this bicker back and forth over stupid things, or the same thing on repeat. Like, tonight was about like him not having a room and him having these things. And like literally 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'll give you the room and I will take downstairs, and then he was, and I think what really started to trigger me was he's never asked me what I'm doing in here. And as all I knew, he had no idea I was in here talking. And it hasn't been something I've wanted to share with him or felt the need to share with him just yet. And so, he was like, yeah, and now I have to listen to these ones upstairs. I have to listen to him upstairs. And now I'm hearing it from her all the time. And I'm like, I am literally in a corner of my room with the door shut. There is no way he can hear me downstairs unless he's in my son's room next door, or if he's down in the garage, which is beneath me, or if he's in the hallway. Like, that's the only way he would hear. And he doesn't hang out there. So there's like nothing I'm doing to disturb him. But I think the way his curiosity is he has insecurities. So I think probably initially he was probably thinking out, like, who am I talking to all the time? Probably was thinking I was speaking to somebody else. And, maybe he's lingered around enough to hear what I'm talking about or whatever it is, like, but he's never come and asked me like about what I was doing. And, he's made up some kind of story in his mind. He's like, yeah, and she's up there talking all the time now. And, just the way he had said it made me feel very like I felt very defensive, and I felt very protective, and I felt very like attacked. And it wasn't like, again, he didn't make me feel this way. Just this is it. This is what was feeling. And in that second, I should have been like, go back to your shower, go to your shower, stop taking it personal. He's just making a statement. It has nothing to do with you. It doesn't mean you need to change. It doesn't mean you need to stop. But immediately my brain is like, do I need to stop? Should I only tape when he's not home? Am I doing something to disturb somebody? And I'm like, and then after like the conversation goes, and it's like, you're so in autopilot, like all these thoughts are just coming up again. And like, I find it challenging to control it. It's like, and there's like a piece of me that like almost doesn't even in a way want to, but it wants to. And so it's like this like mental and emotional power struggle. And then it's like, and then I just want to like, in a way, I just want to be like, I just want this to be done. Like, I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to be mirroring this kind of behavior to the kids. And I just like, for whatever reason, we just bring out like two terrible sides of us. Like, he is a good person and I'm a good person. I have no doubt about either one of those. We both adore our kids. Like, I don't know. So it's just like, we are very opposite. We are very different. And I have changed a lot. And obviously in some ways not enough, because like, I don't want to be doing this to him. Like, I don't want to be behaving this way. So I go back and forth. And then afterwards, like, I feel like I'm just like, thank you so much for helping decorate. Thank you so much for cooking the steak. Like, I do, because it's like, what are the things that I would do? Like, if it wasn't Chris, and if it wasn't like, I would be very thankful for the things that he did. I am very thankful for those things, but I would be telling this other person. Whereas with Chris, I don't always, until like, it's after the fact. Like, I have to like think about it. Sometimes in the fact I do, but like a lot of times when, especially as of recently, it's like, I kind of see the not so pretty things first. Like, I don't know if I'm looking for reasons to not be happy, or, I'm already on the edge, like when we're in a room together. It's just a difficult situation. And, it's unfortunate that like our attempts to repair and our attempts, we had two different marriage therapists, and, I think we were in marriage counseling for almost 3 years. And, it's just unfortunate that like, I think we learned a lot about ourselves. I think we learned a great amount of tools that like are applicable to not only a significant other, but also your children, friendships, and things like that. Like, I completely value the experience. I don't have any regrets about that. My only sadness is that, I look at it as like, we're either growing apart or we're growing together. And, the sadness comes from like, we're growing apart. And, in one aspect, it would be so easy, right? Like, on paper, it's so easy. You keep your family intact, every wedding, every birth of every one of our grandchildren. It's just normal. It's easy. Like, it's predictable. We live together, the kids grow up, we'll go out and eat dinner every once in a while, we'll cook some meals, we'll, you'll, watch your shows, I'll do my stuff, maybe we'll go visit the kids together, or, whatever it may be. And, it just seems like we went through all the hard part, right? Like, raising kids, that's tough. And then, on paper, it just would be easier, right? Like, to be like, yes, please move back into the bedroom, do all these things. Like, and maybe if I could take out every emotion and every hurt inside that, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a part of me that became so accepting of the way I was treated. And I'm not saying like, he may have 1000% these same issues with me in the ways in which I treated him. Because I'm telling you, from my heart to your ears, I didn't treat him the best either. So I'm not saying I was some perfect damsel in distress over here and I was just so mistreated or anything like that. No, I am now, I am no poster child for this is how you should behave as a wife. Like, I raise my hand, 1000% guilty of that. Were there times and things that I did wonderful? Yes, absolutely. And there were also times and things that he did great as well. And I just think that it's come to the point where there's so many of these things, like I said, just having this realization about the morning person, about, like how I had to just hide my happy and just, like feel in fear every time he walked into the room. Like, if he came into the room, I needed to put the TV down. Like, if I was like already in bed watching TV or something like that, because I used to watch quite a bit of TV. But if he came in, then TV had to go low. And it was like, even at low, he would like huff and puff and like roll around in the bed and get so angry with me and yell. And, and all this stuff. And then, you know, like I would just start feeling panic and angst, and like it's before bed and I want to go to sleep and I'm doing it wrong and I can't sleep. Maybe I should just go downstairs. But if I sleep on the sofa, every time I sleep on the sofa, I start to snore. And so maybe I should just go. And then I'm panicking and I'm having this whole conversation. He'll kind of fall asleep and I feel a little bit of relief. And then all of a sudden he'll wake up again and he's like, that's it, I can't sleep in here. You grab his blankets and his pillow and stomp out. And it was like, I'd feel sadness because he left the room, but I also felt this deep sense of relief. And I was just like, okay, fine. I can breathe now. I'll have to deal with the repercussions of what happened in the morning. But for now, in the next few hours, like I have peace. And then, of course, in the morning, you know, when we would talk, well, I didn't get any sleep last night because you were doing this and this and this. And so then sometimes I would be like, okay, like I'll try not to sleep with the TV on and, you know, just in panic. And like, what can I do to appease you? But it's like, I also can't sleep without it. And this is like, it's not like something that like wasn't disclosed. This is something that's been this way my entire life. And there's been times and frames, like small times that I have slept without it. But like I said, to this day, even in my room alone, like I put it on, I put on my timer, I put it on a certain number. I usually fall asleep if I've had a really, you know, wound up day or whatever it is. Sometimes I'll end up watching a whole episode of the Inside Edition that I fall asleep to. But most times I'm out within a few minutes. It's just a little crutch. And I know it's annoying, I can imagine, for somebody who wants it to be quiet, but that's the way it is. And then, you know, again, like there would be times when I was asleep and then he, you know, we kept different hours and different, kind of night, you know, routines. And so there'd be times that I was asleep and then, you know, he would come in and it would wake me up because I'm a mom, right? So I'm always on call to, you know, get up for the kids if they needed me, if there was a cough, if there was a, you know, anything. Like I slept with one ear open. I've always been on the lighter side of a sleeper, but like after I had kids, it was to another degree. And especially I think because I have had sick kids, and when you have sick kids, like you know, sickness doesn't go to sleep when they go to sleep. It's like, it's still there. And you have, you know, like things with Brad, it was like, I had to be up every hour basically to get the doses ready for the medicine, change his diaper, give him the medicines, like, because he was also he was in heart failure, congestive heart failure. So he was taking all these diuretics. So his diaper was completely full within an hour. So like I was constantly changing him. I didn't want him on top of everything else to get diaper rash or cold because he's sitting in a wet diaper. You know, I know that's supposed to pull it from the skin, but you know, I don't know. This was back in the early 2000s. How great were these diapers? I don't know. But I guess better than cloth, right? But like, I don't know. So yeah, like I just have been so conditioned. And even just like, even as a kid growing up, like it was like my dad would sometimes come home late. And like I say, he would come home not sober and, you know, having to worry about him falling or getting up or I just have become in this habit of not being the best of like sleeping. And so now that I'm in the room by myself, like I feel safe and I feel worried. I still listen with one ear closed, one ear open. And like I say, for most of my life, I wasn't allowed to even shut my own door. So like shutting doors in our house wasn't a thing here either. But like it's a very small house and we all like have very different hours. And, you know, a lot of the things we're doing, like my son next door is communicating with his two best buddies and they're playing games. And then my other kids are in there playing with different games. So it's like, there's so much sounds and sometimes it's like a bit overstimulating. And like, or a lot of times like too, like I started shutting mine, like when I started my intermittent fasting was because like for whatever reason, like you can be in the kitchen and it doesn't smell like whatever you're cooking, but like you come into my room and I'm like, yep, there was bacon today. I can tell you everything that somebody ate and I'm really sensitive to smell. So like, I won't be hungry, but sometimes, and I'm much better now because it's just like, I'm not hungry. Like I won't be hungry, but like all of a sudden somebody was cooking popcorn and I was like, I'm famished. You know, it's all I can think about is popcorn and food. And I don't even really like popcorn. I mean, at the movie theaters or something, you know, like I didn't want it. Of all the things I could have in this very moment, it wasn't gonna be popcorn until I smelt it, or like bacon's fine, but I don't want to be smelling bacon right before I go to bed. Like, it's making me kind of nauseous. Like, I don't, ew, it's not like, it's not like, oh, I'm in my room and it smells so good. No, it smells like damn bacon. And I know it doesn't smell like bad. I mean, it's not like the best smell, but like some people may think it is. Like, but for me, I'm like, no, this isn't like a let's unwind and relax. Like, I'm smelling bacon. Ew. So yeah, I mean, that was like one of the other reasons. And then like, like when I'm doing this, it's like I want my privacy. I want, to be able to feel like I'm in this space where I can just be honest and be vulnerable about my experiences, because I think that that's, what's relatable. Like, that's what I want to share. I want to be truthful, and I want you guys to know, like, I am struggling. Like part of me knows how to behave, and I think about it, like I'm like, okay, it's like I'm a coach. I'm like, hype myself up, like, okay, it's the weekend, it's a big weekend, you are gonna be seeing Chris a lot this weekend, like, you got this, just be good, it's your son's birthday, like, it's not about you, like, like you know what to do. Okay, well, if you start to get flustered, just take yourself back to the shower and just breathe, communicate, tell him I feel when blah blah blah, remove yourself. And like, I get in his presence and all that crap goes out the door. And it's like, I can do it with my kids, and I'm practicing it. It takes me a second, right? I have to think about it, and it's becoming a little more and more and more and more natural. But I don't know if it's because we have so few interactions together. I don't know if because the temperature of these interactions are a little bit hotter. If they're just coming in with so much of our own, like, and I think that there's a part of me that believes like both of us kind of know, like, it's over. And I don't think either one of us, it's not like we like it, and I think that there's a part of him that thinks I do like that. And there are parts of me that if we were to be done, like officially and done, there are some parts of me that would be very relieved to not have to have these interactions together, like today. Like, I wish the day would have went well. I wish the day would have went good. I wish the day would have been positive together, because then it just makes life so much easier. Like, and I don't think, like, for me, it's not about being fake. It's just not about being like, I think, like, I feel very, probably I would say I feel very like unaccepted. I feel very like attacked. I feel like wrong for being who I am, because like it just doesn't support him the way he'd like it to, and I think that there's like a part of him, like, he doesn't have all the knowledge I have. He doesn't have all the information and the tools and such that I have acquired. And so, like, part of me is like, I should know better then, because I do. Like, what I expect out of my kids at different levels of their life is different, varying on what information they have, how old they are, what can they handle. It's not like what I expected of my son at 2 is the same as what I expect of him at 24, right? And so, I think I struggle there, because I'm like, this fool's older than me, like, by 4 years, like, get it together, like, so there's not a whole lot of like grace, I'm still very like, because there is this connection to this person, like I don't give him enough grace either to like, and I'm trying to be better. Like, there was a few things that he, like, this week, and I was like, I jumped, and so I'm not saying I'm not completely bad either, like, I'm learning there. I think that I need to give myself a little bit more credit for the things that I am doing right, because again, like I say, like, I'm my own harshest critic. And like, even though I can say and tell myself like, go slow and all these things, like, I still want the results immediately. So there has been progress. Like right now, as I'm talking, I'm like, you did do this though. Like, and even like there have been a couple times like my kids have said things, and I was like, you know, good on him. He's just living it. You know, like I was very positive in situations in which I before would have been like judgy about and like, why is he gonna do that? You know, or whatever. I was just like, good on him. Like he's living his life. If that's what he wants to do, his body, his choice. Like, it's not, you know, like I was very accepting of who he was. And then other times, so I think like, you know, like they say, like, I was like, there's got to be some kind of lesson here that I keep butting my head against. Like there is something in Chris that represents something in me that is triggering the hell out of me. And I need to keep like, instead of putting my focus on him and what he's doing, I need to just continue to like practice turning it back on me and not like taking responsibility or anything like that, like for his actions, but like being accountable for my own and knowing in this situation, there's only one thing I can control, only one thing I can change, and that's me. And so I really like, this is like high priority stuff. And the easy answer is to run away, right? The easy answer is to be like, get a divorce and, you know, limit the interactions together. We're never going to fully eliminate it. And it may not be Chris today, but I guarantee if I don't get a grip on how to handle people like this, you know, like, or situations like this that arise, because that's freaking life. I'm just destined to repeat it, like with somebody else, like, or something else. Like it will come back. I totally believe that. Like I can run, but I cannot hide. There is a reason that I have this lesson and it's a serious one. And so it's tough when you have all these areas of your life that you're doing well and you're thriving and you're able to talk the talk and walk the walk. And then there's other areas where you're kind of like, eh. And I remember even today, and because it's like the way it makes me feel, like I start to feel like all those things from like being a little kid again. And I just like start to feel so defensive. I start to feel so like conflicted on the inside. And it's almost like it just brings it all back. And then like, I even made like a comment because I get so in that thing, and I was that with it's in joke, but I shouldn't have said it at all even. But like I was saying something and I was like, oh, that's because nobody loves me or something like that. And then my one son called me on and he's like, oh, no, I thought we weren't saying. And I'm like, you know what? You're 1000% correct. Like I was wrong. Don't mean that. Like, and I don't even know why that even came out. Like it was just so, again, default setting. But I think when I'm in his presence, for some reason, I'm in that default setting. So I have to do some like research and soul search and figure out some strategies on how to be able to become this person I want to be, because I don't enjoy being that person whatsoever. I feel like crap now. Like I felt like crap in the situation. I'm confused. I, feel like hypocritical at times. Like, yeah, so it's really tough. I'm going to keep working on this though. Like, I want you to know, like, all days are not perfect. This is literally a work in progress here. And, I'm open to learning any new strategies. Like, do you have advice? Like, have you faced these kind of situations with anybody else that you care about, or maybe no longer care about, or, whatever it is? And I'm not, and even if the things that happen in our interactions are bad, and I can be like, well, he did this and this and this and this, they are bad. And what I'm thinking in my mind after having the experience of reflecting back about sharing a room with him and like never really like delving into it, like never having this full like experience where, I was in a calm state and I started to think about all the things. And then all of a sudden I was like really upset about it again, and like really kind of pinpointing it, and then pinpointing it back to even where I had these interactions with my dad as a child, and like making this whole big connection. Like, what I'm thinking is within my body, within my mind, there's probably hundreds of these scenarios that have played out that like I've just kind of, tucked away, and I'm not realizing are subconsciously affecting me. Of course, the big things are easy to be like, well, yeah, this happened. And then, I'm feeling this because of this or whatever. Or if something recently happens, that's another easy one, right? But like, it made me really think, like, when I released that, when I kind of healed and came to peace with the situation and the understanding that I am a happy person. Like, I wake up happy, and I don't want to stifle that anymore. And if the others around me don't like my joy, that's okay. I don't have to smother it on them either. Like, my kids are like, why are you waking us up? Well, you're my kid and you're sleeping till 10, 11, or 12. I'm going to wake you up. Like, I will let you sleep on the weekends, but there are things that you can be doing. And if that, if you don't like that, as much as I adore living with you, like, there are other options available. You don't have to live with me for the rest of your life. You guys are adults. The kids that aren't appreciating my waking up. So, that's okay. Like, I don't do it to excess, like, the whole time or whatever. And whatever, like I said, it's a phase right now. Maybe I won't do it forever. But like I said, I'm warning you, I'm going to do it on the weekdays, but on the weekends, I'll let you sleep in. I don't care. Do whatever, it's your weekend, it's your time. But yeah, so I think, and then just like, again, being very honest with myself and being like, I just, like, I understand, like, when the last time he had moved out, like I said before, the agreement was like, if you're going to move out again, like, it's not healthy for me personally to have this yo-yo-yo effect. He had decided to move, after I had told him that, he had decided to move out of the room once, and then he had decided to move back in when he wanted. And then he decided to move out again, and I have not let him back. And he was like, and in therapy, and I said, I'm like, I was very clear what my boundary was. Like, it is not healthy for me to have him move out and move in whenever he chooses without any explanation. It's just not. Like, it's been this way our whole marriage, and I've always accepted him back because he wanted to leave. I accepted it. He wanted to come back. I accepted it. There was no consideration of how it impacted me or what I would think about it. And on the contrary, like, I was made to be like, I was the bad guy. I was the one that kicked him out or didn't. And I've never done that. But that's the story he tells himself. And so now, like, even today, he was like, I don't have a room, and I've had all this thing, and you don't let me back in the room. And I was like, but that's not how it happened. Like, I was very clear. And he was like, yeah, but that was a long time ago. And now you won't let me back in the room because of this. And I was like, yes, I was very clear on how I felt about the situation, and you decided to move out. Like, that's not on me. And I know I could rescind my position in it. And if we were getting along, I would be completely open to that. Although the more time that goes by, like I've explained to him, I've become more and more comfortable. I like feeling like I can put on my TV at night. I like being able to film right now, because he would be asleep, then I would have to be asleep. Like, there are parts about our lives are very different. Or, like, when he has to wake up at, a certain time and I don't, like, I just don't want to be, I am a light sleeper, so I don't want to be awoke, and vice versa. Like, like, as much as, like, I disturb his sleep, he disturbs mine too. Like, it's so I've become, because we've spent the majority of our marriage not sharing a room, not just limited to recently. Like, it was in recent times when we reconnected that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we can, let's share a room again. Like, we were sleeping even downstairs, like, during COVID. Like, I was sleeping downstairs too. One of the kids had this room, one of the kids had, that room, and then two of the boys were in the other room. And I was on an airbed, like, and he was on the sofa, or then I was on the sofa and he was on the airbed, but, like, we did not even sleep together then. And then eventually we ended up, like, once we started therapy and things like that, we ended up like starting to sleep like on the sofa, like together. um like it turned into like a big bed or whatever thing. But yeah, like that wasn't for very long. And then once kids went to school and stuff like that, we moved into this room. And yeah, he would then leave and then go into the other room because it was now a spare room. When Karina moved out, like, so yeah, it was just like, it's never, like I say, way, way more times have we spent in different rooms than in the same room throughout our marriage. Yeah, so, I've gotten accustomed to it, and like it's peaceful for me to live this way, and I feel bad for him, like, on a few levels, but it's also just because I feel bad, it doesn't mean it's my job to fix it or to sacrifice my own peace. Like, there's times that we can compromise. Like, I can say here, and I've even said, like, I'll give you the room if you want, or you could take it, or we can alternate days or nights, or like, I'm willing to compromise, but I'm not willing to compromise myself. So it's like, I don't know if it's him wanting the room per se, or if him wanting to have, like, sleep in the same bed as me. I don't know what his real desires are. But I know at this point in my life and this like particular time and the way our relationship is, like, I do not desire to be sleeping in the same bed with him, like, for many reasons, but for the main reason is just like we have such different sleeping styles and habits that it's like it causes me such extreme stress, like, to have him be in the same bed as me, that it like compromises the way I sleep. And if my sleep is compromised, then it's going to compromise my day, and I'm just not willing to sacrifice that at this time. So if that's like telling of anything, I don't know, but I just know, like, I'm not willing. Before, I would have been like, yes, okay, he wants to come back, then you have to let him back. And, just you be quiet. Don't be a morning person. Don't, do all these things. Cause it's like, yeah, I get up and I want to do my running. I want to do things like, I want to be able to open the curtains. I want to be able to do like the things that I enjoy doing, that I have now like come in to be able to like turn this little 10 by 10 area in here into, an office, a room, a workout space, meditation zone, like, you name it. So yeah, like, sometimes life is a little tough, and learning new things is really hard, and it takes a lot of practice. And so I have not mastered any of this whatsoever. You're here along with me in my journey, and there's some parts I've mastered, and there's some things, and I know that, like, just like when I was, beginning my health journey, like, it didn't start overnight. I didn't lose all the weight and, get the stamina I have and the endurance I have and the patience and the strength overnight. Like, it has taken hours and hours and hours and hours of practice, and hours and hours and hours of errors and mistakes and pulled muscles and plantar fasciitis and poor shoes, or, clothes, like, that didn't facilitate it. Like, it has taken a lot of trial and error. And when it comes to really making the changes for myself within the relationships that I have in my life left, it's going to take time too, and I need to give myself that grace. And I think that, like, there's a part of, like with my kids, there is this unconditional love component, and that is mutual. So I feel their unconditional love for me, and I know my unconditional love for them. Whereas with Chris in particular, it is a very conditional love. He, from his words to my ears, it's riddled with the ifs. And I have this desire to be loved unconditionally. Like, and I don't even know. Yeah, it just is. So it's really difficult. That's all I can say. And so I'm going to keep practicing because I obviously need a lot more practice. But I'll get there. I'll get there. And I hope at the end of the day, like the thing I hope most, and the reason why it's so important for me to practice the things that I like, and then even if I don't get thank yous for the things that I do, if I don't get appreciation for the things that I do, if I don't get acknowledgement for the things I contribute to this house, I think it's important for me to remind myself that, like, I'm not doing these things for any kind of acknowledgement or appreciation or anything like that. And when I do good, I feel good. And when I do less than good, I feel less than good. And that's the struggle right now. And that's like the connection I need to remind myself. Like, I don't feel good about the way I behaved with him. And, but by simply even, it didn't negate any of the other things. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking about them, but like being able to, despite all of our interactions today, like say, thank you so much for decorating. Thank you for cooking steaks. You know, I went down to wrap presents, but I saw you were sleeping, so we can just get up and do it in the morning. You know, like, I felt good about that. Whatever else happens, like, that happened, and I could go and apologize, and I can still go back and do my I feel whens. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl. It's a big day for him. It's also Tyler's birthday. So like, and I know I can do it on Monday, those things. Like, I just don't want that being the first thing he wakes up to, like, to set the tone of the day. Like, it's not that pressing. So like, I can, and I will get to those when I need, but I also feel like I need to do some more self-reflection on myself. Like, I don't need to send out a not heated, but like a, you know, a more emotionally charged thing. Like, sleeping on it is totally fine. I could sleep on it for a day. I could sleep on it for 2. And I think the important thing is to realize, the bottom line, the most important thing is, like, when I sent even that, I felt good about that period, right? Like, so I felt good about this part. It didn't negate all the other things. It doesn't mean like, oh, I did all these things, but I did this. No, like, those still things need to be addressed on my own behavior, because that's what I can address, and I can communicate to him the effects it had on me. That's it. Like, that's my job. What he does with it, not on me, not on my, you know, like, that's not my responsibility. Nothing I can put any expectations on. He is he and I am me. And but I did feel good being able to say thank you. And that's me, because that's me. Like, I'm very appreciative. I am very grateful and thankful to people. And so being able to extend that to him, even at a time that I was feeling frustrations and stuff like that, it was important to me. And it's important for me to remember that is who I am. And those are the things that feel good. So let's do more of those and less of the other ones. Or let's get to a place, because at the end of the day, I'd love to be his friend. Like, he is funny. Like, I do love his laugh. Like, he'll get going on something. Like, I don't even know what he is watching down there sometimes. And I'll like open the door just to hear him laughing, because he is like crying. And I know, like, he'd be like literally rolling on the ground, because he likes to watch TV on the floor. Like, he will be rolling around and cackling, and it's just hilarious. Like, again, like, I don't even know what he's laughing at, but it makes me giggle. And it's nice to hear him so happy. So yeah, like, I'd love to be his friend. You know, we shared over half of our lives together up to this point, and we have 4 kids together that are pretty awesome. So, you know, that's my goal for right now. Like, if anything would ever happen beyond that, like, I need to get to being a friend. Like, this being an adversary, you know, no more adversity. No, adversary. I don't even know how to say it at 1:30 in the morning. But being his like rival and his, you know, enemy and adversary. I can't even say it right now, but you tell me, how do I pronounce that? And it's just not working for me. So back to the drawing board on that one, guys. So I'm not fully out yet, but I gotta do some work. So, but first, what I have to do is go to bed. So, thank you so much for listening to my late night chat tonight. And again, go Niners. I don't know if I'll be able to film before or after. So, let's just hope. Come on, for baby Ty. Come on. It's interesting, you know, the whole sports thing, right? So thank you guys again for listening to me. If you have any advice, suggestions, you know, questions you have a story to share with me, please do. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I hope that in some way, like, I've connected with you, and you have a wonderful evening, morning, day, whatever it is. So, bye. Mwah. Bye.